And finally, how to factor ESG impact in business valuations. Now that is what is the agenda that we have for our session today. Now, normally I would prefer and encourage everyone to ask me questions in between, but I'm so happy to tell you that I have structured this entire program in such a way that all your questions and all your doubts will get clarified in the course of the discussion itself. In any case, if there is anything still left, you can ask me your questions and your doubts at the end of the session, and I would be very happy to take them at that time. Now, as I said, friends, अगर हमें ESG को समझना है, हमें 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स को समझना है, हमें CSR को समझना है, हमें NGRBCs को समझना है, और हमें जो सभी का BRSR रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क है, अगर हमें उसको समझना है, तो सबसे पहली चीज़ जो हमको समझनी है वो ये है कि व्हाट इज़ पर्पस ऑफ अ बिजनेस. एंड आई कैन टेल यू based on my experience, and I'm sure this must be the experience of every one of you also. तो अगर मैं सवाल आपसे पूछूं, if I ask you this question as to what is purpose of a business, there is a full likelihood that 90% of you would say it is to make profit. Now let me tell you friends, that is a myth. That is a myth, and that is completely wrong. Purpose of a business is not to make profit. Why? Because if the purpose of a business was to make profit, then you will not hear of a company called Google, or a company called ArcelorMittal, or a company called Apple, or a group called Tatas, or a group called Birlas. Why? Because all these business houses made profit within very first few years of their operations. And they would have said, purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. So then the question is, if purpose of a business is not to make profit, then what is the purpose of a business? And I can tell you friends, the purpose of a business is to create value. Purpose of a business is to create value. Doesn't really matter as to where you are. Doesn't really matter what is the product that you make or what is the service that you offer. Doesn't really matter as to what is the constitution of your business. Doesn't really matter as to which industry do you belong to. Any business, every business, anywhere on this earth, the purpose is same, and that purpose is to create value. Or I would say the purpose of that business is to maximize value. And that is what we have to understand at the outset. श्रीधरन जी, आप अपना जरा म्यूट करिए अपने आप को प्लीज. Please mute yourself. Okay, thank you sir. Right. Okay, now the question is, maximization of value is the purpose any business and every business. And please remember, why do I say this? I say this because if the purpose of a business was not to make profit, then all these organizations that I have mentioned, they would not have existed, because they made profit very much, in the very initial years of their operations. And I say the purpose of a business is not to make profit, and that is because making profit in a business is compulsory. Making profit in a business is mandatory. Making profit in a business is non-negotiable. Making profit in a business is not a matter of choice. Making profit in a business is not a matter of an option. If you are in business, you better make profit. And if you are in business and you are not making profit, the least that you can do is to hand over that business to somebody else who can make profit out of that business. So therefore, I say the purpose of a business is not to make profit. Then what is the purpose? The purpose is to create value. The question is how to create value. So you create value by converting resources into result, and then result into resources. Now what does it mean? And let me give you an example. We all are aware of the founder of the Tata Group, late Shri Ghanshyam Das, late Shri Jamsetji Tata. Ghanshyam Das Birla ji was the founder of the Birla Group. Jamsetji Tata is the founder of the Tata Group. Now, what is the meaning of how do you create value? You create value by converting resources into result, then result into resources. So how the Tata Group or the Birla Group or any of these groups, how they have become so big? They have become so big by converting resources into result, then result into resources. क्या मतलब है इसका? मतलब ये है कि उनके पास में कैपिटल थी, उस कैपिटल से उन्होंने एक कंपनी शुरू करी और वो कंपनी शुरू करके उन्होंने और पैसा बनाया और रिसोर्सेज क्रिएट किए. वो जो रिसोर्सेज क्रिएट किए, वो रिसोर्सेज को क्रिएट करके उन्होंने और फैक्ट्रीज डाली. एंड दैट इज हाउ दे हैव बीन इन एग्जिस्टेंस एंड दिस इज हाउ दे हैव बीन ग्रोइंग. So this is how you create value, by converting resources into result and result into resources. Now the question is, create value for what? किस लिए value create करना है आपको? And friends, this is what we need to understand as the valuation professional and otherwise also. I'm sure many of us are chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyers, finance professional, architects, building valuation professional, plant and machinery valuation professional. We also need to understand as to how to create value for what. And I would say create value to strengthen economy of the nation so as to make a positive difference in everyone's life. And that is why we have to create the value. So every business, any business and every business anywhere on this earth has to create value, has to exist for creating value. And value creation का मतलब क्या है? Value creation का पहला मतलब ये है to strengthen the economy of the nation so as to make a positive difference in everyone's life. Then the second purpose is without causing irreparable damage to the planet. So this is how we need to understand as to what is the purpose of a business, to create value, to strengthen the economy and without causing irreparable damage to the planet. And I'm sure, friends, if I can tell you, this is what is growth. So what is growth? Converting resources into result is growth. What is profit? Converting result into resources is profit. What is good corporate governance? So creating value for strengthening the economy of the nation is nothing but good corporate governance. So any business which is working to strengthen the economy of the country, he is by default following the good corporate governance in any case. And what is the sustainability? Sustainability is nothing but creating value without causing irreparable damage to the planet, and that is what is sustainability. So if we understand what is good corporate governance, if we understand what is sustainability, then automatically we understand what is ESG, what is CSR, and what is triple P bottom line. And what is triple P bottom line? Triple P bottom line would mean P for profit, P for people, P for planet, P for profit. So the first P is the planet, second P is the people, and the third P is the planet. And now this is how we need to look at. All of us have a bigger responsibility in this context because we understand the implications of what we are discussing. And therefore, we really need to make sure that everybody is educated and made aware of this significance. Why is that we have to talk about planet? Why do we have to worry about the planet? And answer, of course, is very simple. Remember, friends, in life, we can have a plan A. और अगर plan A fail होता है तो we can have a plan B. Plan B fail होता है तो we can have plan C. Plan C fail होता है तो we can have a plan D. But what we need to remember is we only have one planet. If that planet is destroyed, remember, there is no space where we can go. And that is the reason why we have to worry about the planet. And that is the reason as to why the whole world today is talking in terms of sustainability. तो sustainability का मतलब क्या है? Sustainability का मतलब है create value but without causing damage to the planet. And why? Because this planet that we have today with us is not an inheritance that we have got to launder, to squander. This is the responsibility that we have to pass on to the next generation, not in the same condition in which we received, but in a bigger and better condition than in which we received. And that is what is the responsibility that we have. Now, people talk about the circular economy. Now, what is circular economy? So, people, when they talk about the circular economy, they refer to three R's. The first R stands for reuse, and the second stands for repair, and third stands for recycle. So, reuse, repair, and recycle. So this is what is circular economy. I would say that the better understanding of the circular economy lies here: converting resources into result, and then converting result into resources, and keep on doing it. And that is what is the real circular economy. So all the big business houses that we see anywhere on this earth today, remember, are a result of the simple mantra of converting resources into result and result into resources. And that is what is the real circular economy, because that is how the economy of the entire globe has been growing. And if we take care of all this, so as a valuation professional, or as a finance professional, or as a business professional, if we are able to focus on growth, we are able to focus on profit, we are able to focus on good corporate governance, sustainability, ESG, CSR, triple P bottom line, real circular economy, by default, I'm sure all of you would agree with me, we would take care of the risk management also. And that is what we need to remember. Anyone who is doing all this, that is what is leadership. Now, this is what we need to understand. Now, given a choice, I would love to ask you this question as to when we say create value or value creation. Now, what do you understand by this term called value creation? What do you understand by value creation? Let me tell you, the definition of value creation is very simple. And what the definition is, that definition is to make this world a better place to live today than what it was yesterday, for everyone. For everyone, right? Remember, and why do I say for everyone? Because for some people, the world has been becoming better every day, but that is not important. So value creation का मतलब ये है to make this world a better place to live today than what it was yesterday, for everyone. And that is what is inclusiveness. And remember, that is the responsibility that not the governments have, not the UN has. That is the responsibility that every individual anywhere in the world has. So all of us as an individual also has this responsibility to ensure that this world becomes a better place to live today than what it was yesterday, for everyone. Not for few, but for everyone. But the question is, how will that happen? How will that happen? कैसे ये पूरी दुनिया will become a better place to live today than what it was yesterday? So how will that happen? That is the question. I'm sure if I would to ask you this question, you all will definitely have certain answers in your mind. And even the UN also thought about it. And what UN has done, कि अगर ये पूरी दुनिया को अगर बेटर करना है today than what it was yesterday, so how it can be done? How is that the life of everyone on this earth is made better today than what it was yesterday? They brought out something that is known as 17 Sustainable Development Goals. 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And what these 17 Sustainable Development Goals are. And friends, I would like all of you to pay attention and listen to me very carefully. And why do I say this? Because I say this because when you will listen to these 17 development goals, आपको रियलाइज होगा, आपको महसूस होगा कि वाकई में अगर ये पूरी दुनिया और पूरी दुनिया के लोग ये 17 चीज़ों के ऊपर 17 डेवलपमेंट गोल्स के ऊपर फोकस करते हैं, तो दिस वर्ल्ड कैन ट्रूली बिकम अ बेटर प्लेस टू लिव टुडे than what it was yesterday, for everyone and for all times to come. And that is what can happen. So what these 17 sustainable development goals are, I am sure, friends, as I am progressing, I am sure you are able to correlate everything that we are discussing. So what these 17 sustainable development goals brought out by UN are: the number one is no poverty. Number two is zero hunger. Number 3 is good health and well-being. Number 4 is quality education. Number 5 is gender equality. Number 6 is clean water and sanitation. Number 7 is affordable and clean energy. Number 8 is decent work and economic growth. Number 9 is industry innovation and infrastructure. Number 10 is reduce inequalities. Number 11 is sustainable cities and communities. Number 12 is responsible consumption and production. Number 13 is climate action. Number 14 is life below water. Number 15 is life on land. Number 16 is peace, justice and strong institutions. And number 17 is partnerships for the goals. So the goals that we are talking about. So partnerships, that means everyone has to partner in achieving these 17 sustainable development goals. I would like all of you to think for a while and see as to how these 17 sustainable development goals, if they are achieved, how this world will become a better place to live today than what it was yesterday. And I'm sure जब आप इसके बारे में सोचेंगे तो आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि वाकई में अगर ये 17 चीज़ें हो जाती हैं तो इसका मतलब इस दुनिया में जितने भी लोग हैं सब लोगों की लाइफ ऑटोमेटिकली इंप्रूव हो जाएगी. As professionals, I would also urge every one of you to think about it. कुछ लोगों को लगता है कि ये जो 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स हैं, these are expenditure. These are the cost that the global economy will have to suffer if they have to go for it. लेकिन अगर आप केयरफुली उसको देखेंगे तो आपको रियलाइज होगा कि all these 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स अगर ये इम्प्लीमेंट होते हैं तो the kind of capital expenditure that the global economy would incur, that would result into so much of economic activity that the global GDP growth rate will improve by 2-3% for sure. And not only it would improve by 2-3% or maybe more, but at the same time it's going to make life of everyone very easy and comfortable. And remember, that is what is the purpose of the businesses also. Now, incidentally, you must also know that all these 17 sustainable development goals are further broken into 169 specific targets. So it's not that कि आपने गोल बना दिए और उनको भूल जाए. No, these goals are being pursued, and I am sure all of you would be aware that the governments of all the countries have given their commitment as to when they are going to achieve all of them, and all the governments, including the government of India, is working on all these 17 sustainable development goals and all the 169 activities which are covered under these 17 sustainable development goals. So the question is, these 17 sustainable development goals have been set up by the UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, to make this world a better place to live today than what it was yesterday, for everyone and forever. And for everyone and forever. I'm sure how will the life of the people would improve? The life of people would improve as the economic activities improve. As the economic activities improve. And when your focus is on inclusiveness, then by design and by choice, you ensure that the growth does not happen only for the people who are already rich. Rather, it happens for everyone. So what is the global and Indian good corporate governance framework? And that is what, as valuation professional, we need to understand. So we know now as to what is the purpose of a business, and the purpose of a business is, so the framework, the global framework of good corporate governance can be broken into 4 aspects. The first aspect is the purpose of a business. We now understand purpose of a business is to make positive difference in everyone's life. So that means, strengthening the economy of the nation. So when you strengthen the economy of the nation, by default, you bring positive difference in the life of everyone through sustainable development. That is, without causing any irreparable damage to the planet. So that is first thing of the framework. The second is the philosophy. So what is the philosophy? The philosophy is circular economy. The philosophy is 3 R's. As I said, reuse, repair and recycle, and that is what is the philosophy. The philosophy is also triple bottom line. That means as an approach, as a thought process, how should we look at? So we should look at not only on profit, and that too for the shareholders. We need to look at not only we need to look at the profit. First, we need to look at the planet. Then we'll need to look at the people, and then we need to look at the profit. Now, please remember, I am not suggesting that it means कि पहले planet का सोचो, फिर people का सोचो, profit का बाद में सोचो. No, I have told you in the very beginning. Making profit in business is mandatory. Making profit in business is compulsory. अगर आप business में तो आपको profit तो बनाना ही बनाना है. So 3P का मतलब ये नहीं कि planet पहले, people बाद में, उसके बाद में profit. No, these are in cycle. So the 3Ps, planet, people, profit, they are not on a flat line. They are not horizontal. They are not on a horizontal path. They are on a circular path. They are on a circular path, and that is the philosophy. Now, to achieve this purpose, what is the action package? The action package is initially what the UN came out with was MDGs. MDGs were known as Millennium Development Goals, and those Millennium Development Goals got converted into Sustainable Development Goals, as we have discussed. The government of India, to implement these SDGs, initially brought out with NVG, that is National Voluntary Guidelines on Corporate Governance. Now these NVGs have been converted into the National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct. I'm going to share with you more about it as we move forward. For facilitating the implementation, now these are also broken into ESG, that is your environment, society and the governance, or GRC, which is governance, risk management and the compliance, or CSR, corporate social responsibility. Of course, globally there are different reporting frameworks for the ESG compliance, and different all over the globe, different geographies, different terms and phrases are used. But ultimately, when you would look at, you would realize that the meaning of all those terms is still the same. And then in India, what we have is, we have the measurement framework, and earlier it was known as BRR, business responsibility reporting. Now this is known as BRSR, and I'm sure all of you, as we have discussed, are already aware. So here, friends, this is the framework for the good corporate governance in India and also globally. The only difference is here I am talking about the BRSR, which is applicable only to India, but globally also there are different frameworks which are available for the purpose of reporting by different geographies. Now let's come to the question of what is value and what is valuation, because ultimately our end objective is to understand as to what is the relationship between the ESG or good corporate governance or sustainable development goals or BSR framework. What is the relationship between these components, these elements, and the valuation? That is what is our end objective is. So what is value? Value, of course, is very simple. Utility of any asset is value, right? So what is value? Value is nothing but utility of an asset. अगर कोई asset है, उसकी utility है तो उसकी value है. अगर कोई asset है, उसकी कोई utility नहीं है, तो इसका मतलब उसकी कोई value नहीं है. That is number one. And what is valuation? Valuation, of course, is to convert utility of an asset in monetary terms is valuation. So quantification of utility of an asset in money terms is valuation, and that is the simplest definition that we can understand as far as the value is concerned and as far as the valuation is concerned. Now the question is, why do we do the valuation? So we do the valuation because we have to take a decision. We have to take a decision, right? And at this point in time, since we are discussing in the context of ESG, BRSR, SDG, NGRBC, तो हमें ये एक चीज़ और समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली हमारा काम एज अ प्रोफेशनल सिर्फ वैल्यूएशन करना नहीं है. हमारा काम हमारे क्लाइंट्स को इसमें भी हेल्प करना है कि उनके वैल्यूएशन कैसे इंप्रूव हों. तो किसी के भी वैल्यूएशन कैसे इंप्रूव होंगे, किसी कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन कैसे इंप्रूव होंगे, किसी कंपनी की एसेट की वैल्यूएशन कैसे इंप्रूव होगी. एक ही तरीका है, और वो तरीका ये है कि एज द यूटिलिटी ऑफ एन एसेट इम्प्रूव्स, valuation of that asset also improve. राइट, इजंट इट? तो जैसे जैसे किसी एसेट की, किसी कंपनी की यूटिलिटी बढ़ती है, वैसे वैसे उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन बढ़ता है। अब जरा समझ के लीजिए कि ईएसजी को फॉलो करने से, ईएसजी को फॉलो करने से, एनजीआरबीसी को फॉलो करने से, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट बिजनेस गोल्स को फॉलो करने से किसी बिजनेस की यूटिलिटी बढ़ेगी कि कम होगी? एंड द ऑब्वियस आंसर इज कि एनी कंपनी विच इज फॉलोइंग ईएसजी, BRSR reporting framework, CSR, Sustainable Development Goal. Now, any company which is focusing on the ESG components, that company's utility is going to improve for the society, for the nation. और अगर उस कंपनी की यूटिलिटी इंप्रूव होगी तो ऑब्वियसली उस कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन भी बढ़ेंगे। तो हमें एट दिस पॉइंट इन टाइम मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दिस, दैट दिस इज द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द ESG एंड गुड कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस एंड द वैल्यूएशन। तो जितना हम हमारी यूटिलिटी को इंप्रूव करेंगे यूजिंग द ESG, उतने हमारे कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन बढ़ेंगे। सो व्हाट आर द प्राइम ड्राइवर्स ऑफ द बिजनेस वैल्यूएशन? सो सीधी सी बात है, अब हमारा फोकस इज गोइंग टू कि भाई कि किसी भी बिजनेस के वैल्यूएशन को इंप्रूव होने के ड्राइवर्स क्या क्या हैं? व्हाट आर द फैक्टर्स दैट ड्राइव वैल्यूएशन ऑफ अ बिजनेस? वी अंडरस्टैंड वेरी क्लियरली इन प्रिंसिपल कि किसी भी बिजनेस की और किसी भी कंपनी की और किसी भी एसेट की वैल्यूएशन को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए सबसे जो जरूरी चीज है वो ये है कि उसकी यूटिलिटी इंप्रूव होनी चाहिए। तो अब सवाल ये है कि किन किन चीजों की वजह से किसी कंपनी की यूटिलिटी इंप्रूव होगी? सो व्हाट आर द फैक्टर्स दैट विल लीड to utility, increased utility of an asset or of a company or of a business. So what are those factors? So once we understand those factors, we would be able to understand as to what these factors are. And I'm sure जब हम इसको डिस्कस करेंगे तो मैं चाहूँगा कि आप कॉन्शियसली इसको फोकस करें कि जब हम इसको डिस्कस करेंगे तो आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि जितने भी फैक्टर्स की हम बात कर रहे हैं वो सारे के सारे फैक्टर्स इन सम वे और द अदर आर कनेक्टेड विद द ESG. Some way they are connected with the NGRBCs. Some way they are connected with the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm sure that is what you would feel. So what are the prime drivers of business valuation? So the first and foremost is free cash flow of a business, right? So हमने समझ के लिया कि how would the valuation, what is the value? Value is nothing but utility of an asset. तो अब जरा समझ के लीजिए कि किसी कंपनी की यूटिलिटी क्या है. किसी कंपनी की यूटिलिटी क्या है? किसी कंपनी की यूटिलिटी क्या है? तो कंपनी की यूटिलिटी है कि वो कंपनी कुछ गुड्स प्रोड्यूस कर रही है, वो कंपनी कुछ सर्विस दे रही है और उन गुड्स की वजह से, उन सर्विस की वजह से सोसाइटी में, देश में, इकोनॉमी में लोगों की लाइफ इजी हो रही है. एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज द यूटिलिटी ऑफ दीज कंपनीज. अब सवाल ये है कि हमको करना है वैल्यूएशन. तो अगर हमको करना है वैल्यूएशन तो हमको क्या करना पड़ेगा कि ये जो कंपनी है, ये जो बिजनेस है, तो इनकी जो यूटिलिटी है, इनके जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, इनकी जो सर्विसेज है, वी विल नीड टू क्वांटिफाई देम. सो इन व्हाट टर्म्स? इन मनी टर्म्स. सो द यूटिलिटी ऑफ अ बिजनेस, यूटिलिटी ऑफ अ कंपनी, यूटिलिटी ऑफ एन एसेट कैन बी मेजर्ड बाय कन्वर्टिंग दिस यूटिलिटी इन टर्म्स ऑफ द कैश, इजंट इट? तो जितनी भी कंपनियां हैं दुनिया भर में, तो उनकी यूटिलिटी को, उनकी यूटिलिटी को कैसे जाना जा सकता है? बाय कन्वर्टिंग वॉट एवर दे आर डूइंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ मनी. एंड दैट इज व्हाई आई से दैट द फर्स्ट प्राइम ड्राइवर ऑफ एनी बिजनेस एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड इज द फ्री कैश फ्लोज. बिकॉज फ्री कैश फ्लोज are the outcome of the utility. Utility is the goods and the services these companies are producing. Now, what we need to remember at this point in time, that free cash flow. What is free cash flow? So, free cash flow is function of revenue, expenses, and all related aspects, isn't it? तो free cash flow क्या है? Free cash flow is a function of the revenue and the expenses and all the related aspect. Related aspect का मतलब क्या है कि प्लांट है, लैंड है, बिल्डिंग है, लोग हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी है, रॉ मटेरियल है, पीपल हैं, मार्केट हैं, कस्टमर है, वेंडर है. So all these are the related factors which lead to the cash flow generation. So that is first prime driver for any valuation of any business anywhere in the world is the cash flow, And number two, to find out the valuation, the second prime driver for the valuation of any business anywhere in the world is the cost of capital, And the cost of capital, friends, is the function of risk and the return expected from that business. So friends, these are the two prime drivers that are there which drive valuation of a business. अभी समझ सकते हैं कैसे? सिंपल है, अगर कंपनी का जितना कैश फ्लो बढ़ेगा उस कंपनी का उतना ज़्यादा वैल्यूएशन बढ़ेगा, और कंपनी की कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल जितनी कम होगी अगेन उस कंपनी के ज़्यादा प्रेजेंट वैल्यू बढ़ेगी, उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन ज़्यादा बढ़ेगा. तो अगर एक कंपनी है जिसका कैश फ्लो भी बढ़ रहा है, उसकी कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल भी कम हो रही है, तो उस कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन बढ़ते जाएगा. और उसकी जगह दूसरी कंपनी है, उसका कैश फ्लो भी कम हो रहा है और उसकी कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल भी बढ़ रही है. तो अगर ये दोनों फैक्टर अपोजिट डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं तो कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन कम होते जाएगा. एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी नीड टू रिमेंबर ऑल द टाइम एंड ऑलवेज. So now let's look at these prime drivers. So the number one is there are quantitative drivers. So what are the prime drivers? So I will classify the prime drivers in terms of quantitative, qualitative and the emerging drivers. Because emerging drivers का मतलब क्या है? There are a few things which are happening in the economy which are different from what was happening in the past, and we will also understand. So what are the quantitative driver? The quantitative driver number one is the revenue growth. Number two is profitability. Number three is the free cash flow. Number four is the return ratios. Number five is the cost of capital. Number six is the asset base. Number seven is leverage and the capital structure. Number eight is working capital efficiency. So these are the 8 quantitative prime drivers for the valuation of any business. I do not have to elaborate them. I'm sure you all are already very much familiar with all these aspects. In case if anybody would like me to elaborate any of these points, you can please write in the chat box, and at the end I will certainly cover that. Now the second is qualitative drivers. So what are the qualitative drivers? While I'm going to discuss with you qualitative drivers, please remember all these 8 drivers. जरा इसको समझ के लीजिए, सुन के लीजिए और ध्यान में रखिए. All these 8 drivers, वो रेवेन्यू ग्रोथ हो, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी हो, फ्री कैश फ्लो हो, रिटर्न रेशियोज हो, कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल हो, एसेट बेस हो, लेवरेज एंड कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर हो, वर्किंग कैपिटल एफिशिएंसी हो, ये सारे के सारे 8 जो ड्राइवर्स जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, रिमेंबर all of them are influenced by the ESG initiatives which are taken by a company. So a company that will take ESG initiative, that company will have a positive impact on all these 8 quantitative drivers, and that is what we need to remember and connect all the time. Then of course there are qualitative drivers. So what are the qualitative drivers? The qualitative drivers are number 1, management quality. Number 2, brand strength and market position. Number 3 is business model resilience. Number 4 is industry outlook and competitive landscape, regulatory environment, innovation and capabilities, customer base and retention. So these 7 are the qualitative drivers. अब देखिए समझ के लीजिए, जब बात करते हैं ESG की, तो ESG में दी थर्ड कंपोनेंट इज गवर्नेंस, और जब गवर्नेंस की बात करते हैं तो देयर इज ऑलवेज फोकस ऑन द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स ऑफ अ कंपनी. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर एक कंपनी की मैनेजमेंट क्वालिटी, यानी कि एक कंपनी का बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर स्ट्रांग है, पावरफुल है, कॉम्पिटेंट है, कैपेबल है, एंड दैट इज द पार्ट ऑफ द ESG, तो ऑब्वियसली उस कंपनी की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी इंप्रूव होगी, रेवेन्यू इंप्रूव होंगे, एफिशिएंसी इंप्रूव होगी. इसका मतलब उस कंपनी की यूटिलिटी इंप्रूव होगी. इसका मतलब उस कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन भी इंप्रूव होंगे. एंड दिस इज जस्ट टू गिव यू वन एग्जांपल. लाइकवाइज ब्रांड स्ट्रेंथ एंड मार्केट पोजीशन. सो अगर कोई कंपनी है, उसका ब्रांड स्ट्रांग है, ऑब्वियसली द strongness of a brand will improve the financial performance of that company. So these are 7 qualitative drivers, friends, that we need to remember. And what we also need to remember, ultimately, how these drivers are connected with the ESG or BRSR reporting framework, or the 17 sustainable development goals. Friends, I am repeatedly mentioning it again and again, बिकॉज मैं बार बार ये क्यों बोल रहा हूँ, मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल से पैदा होता है ESG, ESG से पैदा हो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल से पैदा होता है NGRBC, दैट इज नेशनल गाइडलाइंस ऑन रिस्पॉन्सिबल बिजनेस कंडक्ट, NGRBC से पैदा होता है ESG, ESG से पैदा होता है ऑल दी ड्राइवर्स, राइट, ऑल दी ड्राइवर्स, और उससे पैदा होता है BRSR रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क. तो मैं ये बार बार क्यों रिपीट कर रहा हूँ, ताकि ये जो चीज़ है, ये जो सीक्वेंस है, ये जो लिंकिंग है, ये जो रिलेशनशिप है, ये आपके दिमाग में परमानेंटली एस्टेब्लिश हो जाए. Then the other emerging valuation drivers are digital transformation, and I'm sure it does not need any elaboration. We all know the way the whole world is getting digitalized, and the positive impact which this digitalization is happening. I think we all are very much aware. Sustainability and climate risk mitigation. So all over the globe today, people are everybody is talking in terms of green energy. Everybody is talking in terms of climate. And why are they talking in terms of green energy? Because the planet has to be protected. So green energy, remember, is not only efficient, but it is also cost effective. Maybe in terms of the capital expenditure, initially the businesses will need to invest more money in the capital expenditure. But having spent sizable amount of capital expenditure, the benefit in terms of reduction in the operating cost and the improved operating efficiencies more than compensates. So that is the second driver, sustainability and climate risk mitigation. तो ध्यान रखने की बात यह है कि जो बिजनेसेस आज की तारीख में क्लाइमेट पे ध्यान फोकस करेंगे और सस्टेनेबिलिटी पे फोकस करेंगे, those businesses only would survive in the times to come. A business which is not focusing on sustainability, remember, is doing so only at its own peril. Such business will not exist for a long time in future, and that is very, very clear. And there are many examples that we all are aware of. Third is the human capital, and the fourth is ESG performance. ESG performance. तो फ्रेंड्स, अब मैं क्या करूंगा, अब मैं आपको ESG परफॉर्मेंस से रिलेटेड जो फैक्टर्स हैं उनके बारे में एक एक करके चर्चा करूंगा. और मेरा मकसद क्या है? मेरा मकसद ये है कि जैसे जैसे मैं आपसे चर्चा करता हूं और जो मैं पॉइंट आपसे बोलता हूं, मेरी एक्सपेक्टेशन ये है कि वो पॉइंट पूरी तरह से आपके सिस्टम में एंट्रेंच हो जाएं और यू आर एबल टू सी द लिंक बिटवीन everything that we are discussing, right? So let us now focus on the ESG factors. Now, so we all understand ESG would mean environment, social, and the governance, right? Now, what are the things that needs to be focused by the businesses as far as the environment is concerned? And I would urge every one of you, when I am discussing it with you, in your mind, try and think and ask yourself as to how this factor will impact valuation of a business. So every time when I speak to you of one factor, immediately you must think in your mind as to how this factor is going to impact valuation of a business. So when it comes to the environment, first is the climate change. Second is initiative for long-term sustainability. Third is efficiency in use of energy. Four is scarcity of water. Fifth is greenhouse gas emissions. Sixth is pollution and carbon emission reduction. Seventh is waste generation management. Eight is recycling. Eight is reduction of toxic waste. 9 is use of natural resources. 10 is water and pollution. 11 is carbon offsets. 12 is ecology and natural heritage. 13 is use of ecosystem services. 14 is biodiversity. And 15 is environmental impact and disclosures. So there are 15 factors. Now please remember, these are only illustrative. By no means these 15 factors that I have discussed with you are supposed to be the exhaustive ones. Certainly not. This is just to let you know the illustrative list of the factors which will form part of the environment when it comes to ESG. And I'm sure, friends, as I was discussing with you, you must be questioning yourself as to how these factors would influence valuation of a company. Before that, you would have thought how these factors, if taken care of by a business, how these factors would improve the top line of that business and the bottom line of that business. So obviously, if these factors are contributing to the top line of that business or the bottom line of that business, that means what? That means automatically this company's cash flow is improving. And as we discussed, the two prime drivers for the valuation, number one is the cash flow, free cash flow, and number two is the cost of capital. So अगर free cash flow improve हो रहा है तो इसका मतलब उस कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन ऊपर जाएंगे. Secondly, remember, when a business, this is a global experience, very well documented, whenever a business is focusing on ESG, the cost of capital of those businesses is going down. So if these 15 factors are taken care of, on one hand they would result into improvement of the cash flow, on the second hand they would result into the reduction in the cost of capital, and thereby they will have a multiplying effect on the valuation of that business. Let us now focus on the second component of ESG, and that is social. So under social, and again I would urge all of you, so as I discussed and mentioned to you all the factors which form part of the social element of ESG, please keep asking yourself this question as to how this factor that I am mentioning will improve the performance of that company, and as a result of that would also improve the valuation of that company. So under the social element of the ESG, the first one is ethical sourcing in the supply chain. Second is following applicable labor laws. Third is consumer protection. 4 is safety standards of products. 5 is work culture. 6 is inclusion and diversity. 7 is data privacy. 8 is community outreach. 9 is community development impact. 10 is training and development of employees. 11 is workplace safety. 12 is health and safety. 13 is human rights issues. 14 is diversity, equality and inclusion, commonly known as DEI. 15 is corporate social responsibility. 16 is gender equality. 17 is customer supply chain management. So these are the 17 factors. And again, please remember, by no means this is an exhaustive list. All these 17 factors that I've discussed with you are only indicative. There can be many more things added to this. Again, अगर आप ये 17 फैक्टर्स के बारे में सोचें, तो अगर कोई कंपनी ये 17 फैक्टर्स के ऊपर फोकस कर रही है in their operations, I'm sure you can very easily visualize that the financial performance, the operating performance of that business, the financial performance of that business will go up sizably. And as a result of that, the cash flow would improve. As a result of that, the cost of capital will go down. And as a result of that, valuation of that company, that business will improve substantially. Let us now look at the third component and of the ESG, third element of ESG, and that is governance. And let's look at what are the factors to be taken care of by the corporates all over the world, and how will they improve the financial and the operating performance of a business as a result of that valuations of a business. By the way, friends, today all over the world, corporates are definitely pursuing all these aspects: environment, society, and the governance. The only point that I would like to mention here, and that we should remember, it is not that all these things need to be followed by the corporates only as a measure of mandatory requirement. It is to be followed as a voluntary initiative. And why as a voluntary initiative? Because ultimately it is going to improve your performance and also improve your valuation. And therefore, though the listed entities globally are mandatorily required to ensure that they do enough on ESG, they do enough on 17 sustainable development goal, they follow the national guidelines on the responsible business conduct, they do BRSR reporting. What is important is that all the entities to whom these things have not become mandatory, डजेंट रियली मैटर वो एक प्रॉपर्टी कंसर्न है या पार्टनरशिप कंसर्न है या एलएलपी है या फिर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी है या अनलिस्टेड कंपनी है, all of them should also take these initiatives, because if they do, they would improve their performance, they would improve their risk management, they would improve their corporate social responsibility. As a result of that, they would improve their financial performance, operating performance. As a result of that, they will also improve their valuations. Let's now focus on the governance. And again, I would urge every one of you, as I am talking about of these factors which fall as part of the governance element, as I mentioned these factors, keep questioning yourself, keep asking this question to yourself as to ये point से, ये factor से एक business की performance पे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा, और अगर पड़ेगा तो उसकी वजह से एक business की valuation कैसे improve होगी. And that is what you have to keep on asking and keep on questioning yourself. So as part of the governance element, the first thing is code of conduct and business principle. Second is shareholders relations. Third is relationship with the regulator. Just to give you an example, if a company is keeping good relations with the shareholders, is it a good sign or bad sign? Obviously it is a good sign. If the shareholders think positive about a company, what would be their outlook? Will they make more investment in this company, or they will make less investment in this company? Obviously they will make more investment in this company. If they make more investment in this company, what will happen to this company? Will this company grow or will this company shrink? Obviously this company will shrink. So I'm just giving you one example as to how all these factors will improve the performance of a business, and as a result of that, valuations also. Number 4, history of shareholders litigations. Number 5, composition and independence of the board of the company. Number 6, disclosure and transparency in reporting. Number 7, minority interest of shareholders. Number 8, remuneration of directors, compensation to executives. Number 9, employee development and relations. Number 10, board independence and diversity. Number 11, separation of the role of CEO and chairman. Number 12 is lobbying. Number 13, accounting and audit. Number 14, auditors' independence. Number 15, anti-corruption and bribery issues. Number 16, accountability. And number 17, ethical conduct. So I'm sure all these factors, one example I have given you with regard to the shareholders relation, but all these factors I am sure you can very easily visualize कि अगर कोई कंपनी ये 17 फैक्टर्स को, जो कि पार्ट ऑफ द गवर्नेंस एलिमेंट है, एंड वापस मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि मेरा कहने का मतलब बिल्कुल भी ये नहीं है कि ये एग्जॉस्टिव है, मेरे कहने का मतलब सिर्फ इतना है कि इलस्ट्रेटिव है. अगर ये फैक्टर्स पे कोई कंपनी ध्यान देती है तो ऑब्वियसली उस कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल और ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस इंप्रूव होगी, और कंपनी की अगर फाइनेंशियल और ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस इंप्रूव होगी तो सीधी सी बात है उस कंपनी के वैल्यूएशन भी इंप्रूव होंगे. Now, what is CSR? And I would like, friends, all of us to be very clear about as to what is CSR. CSR can be understood in two ways. Number one is CSR per se, that is CSR is corporate social responsibility. And number two, CSR can also be understood as what is section 135 on CSR. तो एक CSR corporate social responsibility है और एक CSR है section 135 on CSR. So that is how we need to understand, and ये दोनों में चीज़ों में का जो फ़र्क है, क्या फ़र्क है. तो रिमेंबर, ये जो सारी एक्टिविटीज़ हैं, all these activities, all these factors that I have discussed with you, 15 factors as part of the environment, 17 factors as part of the social element, and 17 factors as part of the governance element. So ये सारे के सारे completion of all these activities by the corporate is the CSR. यानी कि corporate social responsibility क्या है? Corporate social responsibility का मतलब ये है कि बिजनेस ने क्या करना चाहिए, ये जो फैक्टर्स जो हमने डिस्कस किए हैं ये सारे के सारे कंप्लीट करने चाहिए. दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. एंड व्हाट इज CSR 135. अब ध्यान से सुन लेना, ध्यान से सुनिए. सेक्शन 135 इज अ लिमिट ऑन CSR इज अ लिमिटेड थिंग. इट इज नथिंग बट अ टूल. It is a tool for what? It is a tool for ensuring that the corporates in this country spend a minimum mandatory amount of their part of their profit, which is 2% average of last 3 years profit calculated as per section 198 of the Companies Act. So CSR section 135 is only a tool to ensure कि हिंदुस्तान में जो कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं वो कम से कम इतना पैसा तो सोशल एक्टिविटीज के ऊपर खर्च करें ही करें. लेकिन CSR इज अ मच बिगर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एज वी हैव डिस्कस्ड. नाउ इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ ESG ऑन क्वालिटेटिव ड्राइवर्स. नाउ बिफोर वी स्टार्ट दिस सेशन maybe we can take a quick break of 5 minutes. I'm sure you may be wanting to have water or something, so we can take a quick break of 5 minutes and we will come back after 5 minutes. Okay, is it fine with everyone?
Okay, sir. I have one question. Are we going to share this PPT to us, please?
हाँ कर देंगे शेयर, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. मगर मेरी खाली ये एक रिक्वेस्ट है आपसे, क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है कि जैसे ही लोगों को मालूम पड़ता है कि हाँ PPT मिलने वाला है तो फिर लोग रिलैक्स हो जाते हैं और फिर ध्यान देते नहीं हैं उतना. तो मैं चाहूँगा कि PPT आपको मिल जाएगा, पर जब तक ये सेशन चालू है पूरे ध्यान से सुनिए, बिकॉज ये जो अपॉर्चुनिटी है वो पता नहीं दोबारा आपको मिले या न मिले, है ना. तो एक दो मिनट का क्विक ब्रेक लेते हैं. मैं भी थोड़ा पानी पी लेता हूँ, आप भी थोड़ा सा पानी पी लीजिए. एंड वी विल जस्ट मीट इन 2 minutes. All right, so let's continue. Is my slide visible to every one of you?
Yes, sir. Your slide is visible to us.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, friends. So let's continue. Now, influence of ESG on quantitative drivers, right? तो हमने कहाँ से शुरू किया? हमने शुरू किया कि सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल. हमने शुरू किया कि पर्पस ऑफ बिजनेस क्या है, और हमने समझा कि पर्पस ऑफ बिजनेस इज टू क्रिएट वैल्यू. और फिर हमने समझा कि क्रिएट वैल्यू का मतलब क्या है. क्रिएट वैल्यू का मतलब है टू मेक दिस वर्ल्ड अ बेटर प्लेस टू लिव टुडे देन व्हाट इट वाज यस्टरडे फॉर एवरीवन, एंड दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर एवरीवन. तो अब सवाल यह है कि ये दुनिया स्वर्ग जैसी बने, ये किसकी जिम्मेदारी है? हुज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इट इज? इज इट द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द UNGA, or it is the responsibility of the heads of the government of all the countries, or it is the responsibility of the corporates in the different countries, or it is the responsibility of everyone? And the answer comes is it is the responsibility of everyone. Then the question arises, all right, it is the responsibility of everyone. तो बात करके तो ये दुनिया स्वर्ग नहीं हो जाएगी, बात करके तो वैल्यू क्रिएशन नहीं होगा, बात करके तो द वर्ल्ड विल नॉट बिकम अ बेटर प्लेस टू लिव टुडे देन व्हाट इट वाज यस्टरडे. बात करके नहीं होगा, कुछ कॉन्क्रीट स्टेप्स लेने होंगे. तो वो कॉन्क्रीट स्टेप्स किसने लिए और किसने सजेस्ट किए? वो कॉन्क्रीट स्टेप सजेस्ट किए यूएनजीए ने, यूनाइटेड नेशंस जनरल असेंबली. एंड व्हाट दो 17 स्टेप्स आर? Those 17 steps, as we have discussed already, those are sustainable development goals. So not only we have discussed, but we also have understood कि अगर ये 17 जो फैक्टर्स, जो गोल्स हैं, अगर ये गोल्स वाकई में अचीव हो जाते हैं पूरी दुनिया में, तो पूरी दुनिया में सभी लोगों की लाइफ इजी होगी. एंड रिमेंबर, इट इज़ नॉट द प्रेरोगेटिव टू लिव अ कंफर्टेबल लाइफ of very few on this earth. No, it is the prerogative of everyone on this earth to live a comfortable life. As a matter of fact, those who are living a comfortable life today, they have an obligation. And what obligation they have? The obligation they have is they need to ensure that the people who are not able to live a comfortable life today, they need to ensure that they do everything possible under the sun so that those remaining people also live a comfortable life. तो उसके लिए यूएन ने बताया कि 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स हैं, और यूएन ने पूरी दुनिया के गवर्नमेंट से, दुनिया की जो कंट्रीज हैं, सबको कहा कि भाई आप ये 17 डेवलपमेंट गोल्स के ऊपर काम करिए. हिंदुस्तान ने भी वो जिम्मेदारी ली. एंड दैट इज हाउ इन इंडिया आवर गवर्नमेंट ब्रॉट आउट विद दीज 9 responsible business conduct, and I'm going to share them with you in a while from now, right? So I'll share those NGBCs with you in a while from now, as to how those responsible business conduct, if implemented by the corporates in this country and also by everyone, how it is going to make a positive impact on the life of everyone. So I'm just going to do this. So this is what we have done so far. Right. So influence of ESG on quantitative drivers. क्या मतलब है कहने का मतलब ये है कि हमने अभी डिस्कस किया एनवायरनमेंट से रिलेटेड कौन से 15 फैक्टर हैं, सोसाइटी से, सोशल से रिलेटेड कौन से 17 फैक्टर्स हैं ESG के, और गवर्नेंस से रिलेटेड कौन से 17 फैक्टर्स हैं, ये हमने डिस्कस किए. अब हम क्या डिस्कस करेंगे, और इसके पहले हम क्या डिस्कस कर चुके हैं? इसके पहले हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं कि किसी भी बिजनेस के वैल्यूएशन के प्राइम ड्राइवर्स क्या हैं, प्राइम ड्राइवर्स क्या हैं. दैट इज व्हाट वी हैव अंडरस्टूड ऑलरेडी. अब हमको क्या समझना है? अब हमको समझना ये है कि ये जो ESG के जो इंडिकेटर्स हैं, जो फैक्टर्स हैं जो हमने चर्चा करी है, और उसके पहले ये जो हमने वैल्यूएशन के जो प्राइम ड्राइवर्स हैं जिसके बारे में हमने डिस्कस किया है, अब हम क्या समझेंगे? अब हम ये समझ के लेंगे कि भाई ये जो ESG के फैक्टर हैं ये किस तरह से वैल्यूएशन को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं, किस तरह से वैल्यूएशन को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं. एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी विल ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड नाउ. ओके, so let's look at the quantitative drivers first of all. So quantitative drivers we saw is revenue growth, and I'm sure I do not have to elaborate this. You can very easily understand as to how ESG aligned products and services would result into sustainable consumer demand and expanding market, right? So that is what will happen when a company is focusing on the ESG. Profitability पे क्या impact होगा? Even though initially ESG investment may increase short-term cost, as we discussed little while ago, but long-term operational efficiency, for example, energy saving, lower waste, will improve the margins. So when the margins will get improved, obviously the profitability will also get improved. What will be the impact of the ESG driver or ESG factors on the free cash flow? So ESG initiative improve efficiency like water, electricity usage, and reduce fines or penalties enhancing long term free cash flow, right? So क्या होगा कि अगर ESG के जो इनिशिएटिव हैं उसकी वजह से वाटर की यूज़ में, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूज़ में there would be improvement in the efficiency. As a result of that, the cost will go down and that will improve the cash flow. Not only that, अगर कोई कंपनी एनवायरनमेंट से रिलेटेड लॉस को कंप्लाई नहीं करती है, that company will have to face the penalty. So those penalties are also stopped if the company is taking care of the ESG, right? And as a result of that, there's a positive impact on the cash flow of the company. How will the cost of capital be impacted by the ESG? Strong ESG performance, lower perceived risk. As I was telling you, it is very well documented globally that whenever a business is focusing on the ESG, the market perception, the investors' perception about that company is positive, and as a result of that, the people who lend money or who invest money, they are prepared to do so with a lesser expectation of return from such companies, right? So as a result of that, the cost of capital of such company reduces. And finally, if all this is happening, then the valuation multiples automatically improve. So companies with robust ESG credentials often enjoy premium PE and EV EBITDA multiples due to higher investor confidence, as I just mentioned to you. So this is how, as far as the quantitative factors, quantitative drivers are concerned, this is how the quantitative drivers will be positively impacted or influenced by the CSR factors. Let's look at the influence of ESG on the qualitative drivers. Right? So management quality. So the driver is the management quality. So management quality, how will it be influenced by the ESG ecosystem? So proactive ESG adoption signals forward thinking and ethical leadership. And if I ask you a question, which company would you like to invest your money in? Would you like to invest your money into a company where you know that the promoters are unscrupulous? Or would you invest your money into a company where you know that the promoters are scrupulous, they are honest, and they are ethical, they are competent, capable? So obviously you will invest your money into the second company. And that is how the ESG adoption gives that strength to the management of the company. Brand strength. ESG oriented companies build stronger reputation and enjoy higher customer loyalty and trust. Does not need any elaboration. Market position. So how will the market position impacted by the ESG factors? ESG leadership can be a competitive differentiator in B2B and in B2C markets. Innovation. So how will the innovation be influenced by the ESG? ESG pushes companies to develop eco-friendly technologies, sustainable packaging, etc. And that is what we are seeing today, right? So all the automobile companies all over the world, right, they all have come out with the EVs. And why they have come out with the EVs? Because their focus is on the ESG. So when there's a focus on the ESG, what they're doing, they're innovating. And since they're innovating, they're able to bring out the EV vehicles. So that's one example, and there can be hundreds and thousands of examples of this kind. How will the human capital be influenced by the ESG factor? Strong social policies, DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusivity, fair wages, employees' wellness, improve retention and engagement. So all these factors that I have just mentioned to you, strong social policies, concern for the employees, work environment, health and safety, taking care of the employees. So what will happen? So अगर एक कंपनी अपने एम्प्लॉयज़ की अच्छी केयर कर रही है तो उस कंपनी के एम्प्लॉयज़ अच्छा काम करेंगे कि बुरा काम करेंगे? ऑब्वियसली उस कंपनी के एम्प्लॉइज अच्छा काम करेंगे, और अगर उस कंपनी के एम्प्लॉइज अच्छा काम करेंगे तो उस कंपनी की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ऊपर जाएगी कि नीचे जाएगी? ऑब्वियसली ऊपर जाएगी। उसका टॉप लाइन ऊपर जाएगी कि नीचे जाएगा? ऑफकोर्स ऊपर जाएगा। सो दिस इज हाउ द ESG factors would influence the qualitative drivers. And finally, or how will these ESG will also influence the financial drivers? So how will the ESG factors that we have discussed little while ago, 15 in case of the environment, 17 in case of social, 17 again in case of the governance. So how these will have an impact on the financial drivers? So what are the financial drivers? Revenue composition, expense management, tax and regulatory benefits, and the risk exposure. So these are the financial drivers. So, and how will they be influenced by the ESG ecosystem? Revenue composition, transition to sustainable revenue streams, renewable energy, ethical products will improve the revenue. Expense management, reduced energy, water, waste management cost from the sustainable operations will bring the costs down. Tax and regulatory benefits, government often provide ESG linked incentives or green subsidies. As a government all over the world, हिंदुस्तान में नहीं बल्कि पूरी दुनिया में governments give incentives, government gives encouragement for the companies to go for environment related initiative. I'm sure all of us are aware, in our own country we have this initiative by the government of India where every house is going to be a solar power generator, and you can imagine the kind of solar power will be generated from once all the houses in this country are fitted with the solar plants. So you can imagine. And today, incidentally, I know many plants all over the world where the companies are going for solar energy. So what they are doing is they are setting up these solar units in their plants, and they are able to use the solar energy. As a result of that, they are able to bring down their power cost, and you can imagine the reduction in the power cost ultimately is impacting the profitability of that business. So this is how the tax and the regulatory benefits will be impacted by the ESG factors. Risk exposure. ESG aligned companies are less exposed to climate risk, regulatory penalties, and reputational losses. Friends, I can only tell you that opting for focusing on ESG by default is a very good risk management also. So when a company is focusing on all the ESG related factor, this company by default is achieving risk management as well. Influence of ESG on the operational drivers. So how will the operational drivers be impacted by the ESG factor? Supply chain, ESG mandates responsible sourcing. जैसा कि हमने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले देखा सुना, reducing the exposure to unethical or non-compliant vendors. Product life cycle, emphasis on circular economy principles extends product life and reduces waste. Resilience and continuity, climate risk assessment and disaster preparedness improve the business resilience. These points do not need any elaboration. We just need to be aware about these points. Process improvement, ESG metrics drive process audits, automation, energy saving initiatives. So this is how the operational drivers are influenced by the ESG ecosystem. Let's look at the integrated view, ESG's systematic influence on valuation drivers. So ESG does not operate in isolation. It reshapes the DNA of enterprise value. It enhances top line and bottom line performance, mitigates long-term business risks, influences investor perception and market positioning, improves operational sustainability and cost effectiveness, strengthens governance and stakeholder trust. So, this is all what the ESG's systematic influence is on the valuation drivers. Now, friends, having understood this, let us look at and understand as to what are the 9 principles of responsible business conduct to drive the ESG ecosystem in our country. Just to be on the same page, would like to mention once again, purpose of the business is to create value. What is creating value? Creating value is to make this world a better place to live today than what it was yesterday for everyone. For everyone. How will that happen? Will it happen by itself? Will it happen by dreaming? Will it happen by only thinking? Of course not. Somebody has to take the responsibility. Who has taken this responsibility of bringing out the roadmap? This responsibility is taken by UNGA. UNGA has brought out the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and these 17 Sustainable Development Goals now have become the responsibility of all the countries all over the globe. So पूरी दुनिया के सारे कंट्रीज की ये जिम्मेदारी है कि वो अपने अपने कंट्रीज में ये 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट को मटेरियलाइज करें, रियलाइज करें, एग्जीक्यूट करें, उसको रियलिटी में लेके आए. So what the governments of respective countries have done, they also have prepared their own plans. They also have prepared their own blueprint as to how to achieve those 17 sustainable development goals. In our country, initially the government of India brought out something which is known as National Voluntary Guidelines on Corporate Governance. Now these same 9 principles of National Voluntary Guidelines on corporate governance, NVGs as they would be called properly. Now these NVGs have been converted into 9 principles of national guidelines on responsible business conduct to drive ESG ecosystem in this country. अब आप देखेंगे कि ये जो 9 प्रिंसिपल हैं, आई एम श्योर you would be very easily be able to relate them with the 17 sustainable development goal जिनके की हमने शुरू में चर्चा करी. So those 17 sustainable development goals that we discussed, I am sure as I explained to you what these 9 guidelines, 9 principles of responsible business conduct, I am sure you would be very able to relate these 9 principles with those 17 sustainable development goals. So what these principles are? Number 1, businesses should, number 1, conduct and govern themselves with integrity and in a manner that is ethical, transparent and accountable. That's the principle number 1. तो क्या करना है बिजनेसेस ने? Businesses have to conduct and govern themselves with integrity and in a manner that is ethical, transparent and accountable. So that is what is expectation of the government and the UNGA from the corporates all over the world, that this is how they will run their business. That means they will follow the ethics, they will be transparent and they will follow the integrity. Number 2, provide goods and services in a manner that is sustainable and safe. क्या मतलब है कहने का? कहने का मतलब है कि जो भी आप गुड्स प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, जो भी आप सर्विस डिलीवर कर रहे हैं, it has to be of the highest order, it has to be sustainable, it has to be safe for the users of those goods and those services. अब आप मुझे बताइए कि अगर कोई बिजनेस जो गुड्स प्रोड्यूस करता है या जो सर्विस डिलीवर करता है वो सस्टेनेबल और सेफ है, तो वो बिजनेस फ्यूचर में प्रोग्रेस करेगा कि वो बिजनेस नीचे जाएगा? आई एम श्योर द ऑब्वियस आंसर इज दैट बिजनेस विल प्रोग्रेस. अनफॉर्चुनेटली और इंसिडेंटली in the past and even the present also. There are certain businesses, may not be in the organized sector. There are, or maybe in the organized sector as well. They do resort to unsafe products, fake products, spurious products, and they deliver service which is of pathetic standard. Now, what is going to happen to these businesses? Will these businesses survive and grow? Answer is no. To give you an example, so you have this gentleman called Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, Vijay Mallya. So, what were they doing, and where are they today? So, are they doing something which was integrity? Are they doing something which was safe and sustainable? Are they doing something which was honest and transparent? And the answer is no. And that is why today they are facing the consequences. So the second principle of responsible business conduct is provide goods and services in a manner that is sustainable and safe. Number 3, respect and promote the well-being of all employees, including those in their value chain. इसका क्या मतलब है? इसका मतलब ये है कि कोई कंपनी है, टाटा मोटर्स हो, आदित्य बिरला ग्रुप की कंपनी हो, अंबानी ग्रुप की कंपनी हो, अडानी ग्रुप की कंपनी हो, बजाज ग्रुप की कंपनी हो, मित्तल ग्रुप की कंपनी हो, कोई भी कंपनी हो, एनी कंपनी हो, आई एम टेकिंग दीज नेम्स because these are big organizations, but I do not mean to say that it is applicable only to the big organizations. It is applicable to all organizations all over the globe. तो उन्होंने क्या करना है? What they have to do as per the 9 principles of responsible business conduct, what they have to do, they have to respect and promote the well-being of all employees, including those in their value chain. क्या मतलब है value chain का? Value chain का मतलब ये है कि अगर मैं कंपनी हूँ तो मुझे मेरे एम्प्लॉयज़ का तो ध्यान रखना ही रखना है. मेरे वैल्यू चेन में कौन कौन आएगा? द एम्प्लॉयज़ ऑफ माई सप्लायर्स विल बी पार्ट ऑफ माई वैल्यू चेन. Employees of my customer will be part of my value chain. So not only I have to run my business in a way that I take care of my employees, but I also ensure everything possible under the sun that the employees which are part of my value chain are also taken care of. So when I say taken care of, it does not mean that I have to go and pay salary on behalf of the my vendors or my customers. It simply means that whatever I am doing in my business, it should not impact the employees in my value chain adversely, and that is what I mean. That is what is the intent of this principle 3 of responsible business conduct. Number 4, respect the interests of and be responsive to all stakeholders. Unfortunately or incidentally, until some time ago, in the business schools, if you go, the professors would teach the business school that what is the purpose of business, and they would say purpose of a business is to maximize value for the shareholders. Now that is completely wrong. It is no longer applicable today. When you discuss with the students, what you need to tell them, you need to tell them that the purpose of a business is not to maximization value or the wealth for the shareholders, but to take care of all the stakeholders. Remember, दुनिया की कोई भी कंपनी हो, वो no doubt about it, वो कंपनी comes into existence on the strength of the capital which is put in by the shareholders. इसमें कोई शक नहीं है. But remember, they bring the capital. Because of their capital, the business comes into existence. But the business run not only because they have brought the capital. The business runs because somebody has built the plant, somebody has built the building, constructed the building, somebody is supplying the material, and somebody is buying those material. And in the process, the government is also, as a facilitator, is also giving many facilities. So today, as per the principle of responsible business conduct, what the businesses need to do, they need to take care of all the stakeholders and not merely the shareholders. That is principle 4. Principle 5, respect and promote human rights. Principle 6, respect and make efforts to protect and restore the environment. सो सस्टेनेबिलिटी का मतलब क्या है? सस्टेनेबिलिटी का मतलब सिर्फ इतना नहीं है कि मेरा बिजनेस चलता रहे. सस्टेनेबिलिटी का मतलब ये भी है कि ये जो प्लांट हमको मिला है from our ancestors, we need to ensure that we pass on this planet to our next generation not in the same condition but in better condition than in which we received it. So this is the responsibility of the businesses to protect and restore the environment. Principle 7. When engaging in influencing public and regulatory policy, should do so in a manner that is responsible and transparent. तो क्या मतलब है कहने का? इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर आप बड़े बिजनेसमैन हो, आप इन्फ्लुएंशियल हो, तो आप लॉबी कर सकते हो. तो लॉबी आप करिए, लॉबिंग करिए, लेकिन लॉबिंग इसलिए मत करिए कि खाली आपको फायदा हो. लॉबिंग इसलिए करिए ताकि सबको फायदा हो. एंड दैट इज द प्रिंसिपल 7, and that talks in terms of when engaging in influencing public and regulatory policy should do so in a manner that is responsible and transparent. Responsible का मतलब क्या है? Responsible का मतलब है कि वो खाली आपके फायदे के लिए नहीं हो, वो सबके फायदे के लिए हो. Principle 8. Promote inclusive growth and equitable development. तो business, remember today it is a well-known fact. Being a businessman is not a privilege. Being a businessman is not an honor. Being a businessman is not something which is exclusive. Today, being a businessman means it's a responsibility. To be a businessman is an obligation. It's a responsibility. It's a liability that you have as the user of the resources for the benefit of everyone. And that is what is the principle 8, to ensure there is inclusive growth. Principle 9 is engage with and provide value to their consumers in a responsible manner. तो कंज्यूमर को बलि का बकरा मत समझिए. कंज्यूमर है इसलिए आप हैं, कंज्यूमर नहीं रहेगा तो आप भी नहीं रहेंगे, बिजनेस भी नहीं रहेगा. एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज द प्रिंसिपल which is 9th principle as per the responsible business conduct. I am sure friends, all these 9 principles that I have discussed with you, you would have been very easily able to relate with the 7 sustainable development goals. And not only you would have been able to relate with the 17 sustainable development goals, but you would also have been able to connect these 9 the 9 principles of responsible business conduct with the ESG factors that we have discussed. क्या मतलब है कहने का? कहने का मतलब यह है कि अगर किसी बिजनेस ने ये 9 प्रिंसिपल को इंप्लीमेंट करना है, तो what that business has to do, that business has to ensure that all these ESG factors are taken care of by them. That is what is the meaning of the meaning and desired impact of 9 principles of responsible business conduct. Just to let you know, I mentioned to you that there is something which is 9 principle of NGRBC. There is something which is known as BRSR framework, and there is something that I have discussed with you which is known as SDG. Let us understand the connectivity between the 17 sustainable development goals, 9 responsible business conduct, and the BRSR framework. तो मैं आपको बताऊं क्या है इसका मतलब. इसका मतलब अगर आप देखें तो ये जो पहला प्रिंसिपल जो हमने डिस्कस किया एज पार्ट ऑफ द NGRBC. नाउ व्हाट दिस प्रिंसिपल इज, जस्ट बी विद मी. दिस प्रिंसिपल इज कंडक्ट एंड गवर्न देमसेल्व्स विद इंटेग्रिटी इन अ मैनर that is ethical, transparent and accountable. तो ये जो प्रिंसिपल है, this principle is mapped with sustainable development goal number 16 and sustainable development goal number 17. So let us look at that. So this is the sustainable development goal 16. What it is? It says peace, justice and a strong institution. It says partnership for the goals, right? And what is this principle? Conduct and govern themselves with integrity and in a manner that is ethical, transparent, and accountable. So I'm sure you can see all these 17 sustainable development goals and these 9 principles of responsible business conduct are interrelated. They are mapped with each other. Just to give you another example, let's look at principle 5. So what the principle 5 is? The principle 5 says respect and promote human rights. Respect and promote human rights. So which are the sustainable development goals linked with this principle of respect and promote human rights? The 5, 8 and 16. So let's look at, this is 5, gender equality. This is 8, decent work and economic growth. And this is 16, peace, justice and strong institution. So gender equality की बात हो रही है, decent work and economic growth की बात हो रही है, peace, justice and strong institution की बात हो रही है. तो सीधी सी बात है, किस चीज़ की बात हो रही है? Respect and promote human rights. So this is how, friends, all these 9 principles of responsible business conduct are linked or mapped with the sustainable development goals. Right. So before we move forward, I think I can now take a pause and ask all of you to raise your questions, and I would be happy to take them before we come to the concluding part of our session, that is SEBI's BRSR reporting framework. So it's open to all of you. You can please unmute yourself and ask me the question. Anyone, any question? Please feel free, do not hesitate.
Can we request or can we expect some case studies, sir? Some points like thing, so that how this is being implemented in the field of valuation.
Okay, very good. Okay, now incidentally, the time that we have with us is not adequate enough to really give you concrete examples as to how it is being used. But the fact is, it is being used, and it is being used very extensively. Fortunately, today we are in the domain of internet, and not only in the domain of internet, but also digitalization. So you can do your own research after this session. Just go to the internet and ask for the case studies or instances where ESG is being linked with the valuation, and I'm sure you will get hundreds of examples, not only from India but from all over the globe, as to how the investing community, how the regulators, how the manufacturer, how the employees, how the entire ecosystem globally is using and doing the valuation of the businesses much higher when the focus of that business is on the ESG. So it's very easy. I think you can do it by yourself since we have the limited time available with us.
Hello, Mr. Jain.
Yes, please.
I'm O.P. Verma, valuer of plant and machinery as well as immovable assets. I'm in landed building.
Haji sir.
I want to know. You are talking about business valuation.
Correct.
I want to know how how we can quantify the impact of ESG factors on the asset valuations, not on the business valuation. Of course, business valuation will be impacted as a result of which the revenues and the market perception, brand value will be improving or maybe declining also if somebody does follow ESG. How we can quantify the impact of ESG factor on the asset valuation?
I think that, okay. I think that's a very good question, Verma ji. बहुत बढ़िया सवाल किया है आपने. See, remember, as far as the ESG is concerned, or the 9 principles of responsible business conduct is concerned, or the 17 sustainable development goals are concerned. Now, see, all these things are not asset centric. So it's not that they are connected with the land or with a building or with a plant and machinery. No, these are the things which are connected with the business as a whole. So the environment है या energy है, लैंड और बिल्डिंग या प्लांट एंड मशीनरी उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. लेकिन बट आई वुड लाइक टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन इन एनी केस. सो रिमेंबर, टेल मी, यू हैव अ पीस ऑफ लैंड, and that piece of land, if it is planted with flora, will the value of this land will go up or will it go down? That's question number 1. Question number 2, plant and machinery. So the assets which are being produced today, where environment is taken care of. Say, for example, though you have got these EV vehicles which are coming out. So the EV vehicles, are they higher in value or they are lower in value? So that is how you have to look at it actually. So to sum it up, अगर कोई जगह है, जैसे आप अगर बिल्डिंग की बात करें ना, बिल्डिंग की अगर बात करें कि कोई बिल्डिंग का ESG से क्या कनेक्शन हो सकता है. अब एक बिल्डिंग, मैं बताता हूँ आपको कि बिल्डिंग है, वो बिल्डिंग में वो जो बिल्डिंग है, जो सोसाइटी है, उसमें प्लांटेशन बहुत अच्छा है, उसमें सोलर की फैसिलिटी अवेलेबल है ना, उसमें स्पोर्ट्स का अवेलेबल है, उसमें कम्युनिकेशन का फैसिलिटीज़ अवेलेबल हैं, राइट. एंड द थिंग्स आर डन इन अ वे दैट इट इज़ मेड इजी फॉर पीपल टू लिव देयर. तो आप मुझे बताइए, ये जो बिल्डिंग है, ये जो सोसाइटी है जो कि ESG की केयर कर रही है, तो उसकी वैल्यू बढ़ेगी कि कम होगी?
मेरे से पूछ रहे हैं?
हाँ, आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ.
चलिए, जन साहब, ऐसा है.
नहीं, एक सेकंड. नहीं, वर्मा जी, पहले मेरे सवाल का आंसर दीजिए, बाद में आप बताइए.
मैं कह रहा हूँ सर, आपकी बात सही है कि ऑफ कोर्स इन केस पॉजिटिव फैक्टर, उसके पॉजिटिव फैक्टर.
नहीं, वर्मा जी थोड़ा सा ब्रीफ में बोलिए, क्योंकि उतना टाइम नहीं है.
मैं कह रहा हूँ, अगर पॉजिटिव फैक्टर से अगर वो सोसाइटी के हित में जा रहे हैं तो नेचुरली वैल्यूएशन इंप्रूव होएगी.
करेक्ट.
अगर वो स्टेक होल्डर सोसाइटी के अगेंस्ट में है तो वैल्यू नीचे जाएगी. मेरा प्रश्न जो है वो थोड़ा सा स्पेसिफिक है. बेसिकली यू आर टॉकिंग ऑफ द रनिंग बिजनेस. What we are doing, basically, you know that IBBI has recently introduced that valuers have to comment on ESG factors in their valuations.
Right.
And most of the IBBI valuations, they are insolvent companies, NPAs, and many of them you can say are closed industry units.
Right.
So how to determine whether they were following or the new new RA will follow it? How will consider impact of ESG factors in a closed industry unit?
Right.
I want to this is my query.
Right.
Because I'm a valuer, I want to know how I can consider it.
Okay, very good. No, I think वर्मा जी, आपका सवाल बहुत बढ़िया है. Your question, first question I have explained to you कि it is to be looked at from a business point of view and not from a specific asset point of view. I gave you the example of a society just to highlight you, क्योंकि अगर if environment is taken care of, it definitely leads to the valuation. Coming to your second question, कि जो IBBI का जो requirement है कि the valuer has to give the comment on the ESG. So remember, as the valuation professional, and I would appreciate, really speaking, that IBBI is thinking on those lines, and I can tell you as to why IBBI is thinking on those lines, because the entire government ecosystem is working towards implementation of ESG. So when you have to give the comment, when the IBBI is asking, so you really, now we have discussed so much, and I'm sure otherwise also you have a lot of good understanding about the ESG. So what you have to do is you have to just study little more and see as to all the things that we have discussed, and otherwise वो सारे पैरामीटर्स पे ये कंपनी कितना फिट बैठती है वो आपको एनालाइज करना है. अगर आपको लगता है देखो कंपनी बंद हो रही हो या नहीं हो रही हो, या कोई नया उसमें रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट आ रहा है, तो वो कैसे चलाएगा वो बात की बात है, उसकी आपको चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपको खाली कमेंट देना है कि आज की क्या पोजीशन है. तो आज की पोजीशन में आप देखिए कि भाई वो सोशल फैक्टर्स में उसने कंपनी ने क्या क्या किया है, एनवायरनमेंट फैक्टर में कंपनी ने क्या क्या किया है, गवर्नेंस फैक्टर आपके लिए थोड़ा चैलेंज हो सकता है बिकॉज दैट मे नॉट बी इन योर डोमेन, बट स्टिल एज अ वैल्यूअर व्हेन यू इंटरेक्ट विद द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी you can elicit the information from them. And what we have to do as the valuation professional is to make our best effort, and with our best effort whatever outcome that we get, that is what we need to incorporate in our valuation report. I hope that answers your query.
Yes. I understand. We have to take everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we have 7 minutes left, and let me come to the last part of my session, and that is SEBI's BRSR reporting framework. Now this BRSR reporting framework, so what we have discussed, just to link all the dots, is 17th Sustainable Development Goal, valuation, the purpose of the business being value creation. How will the value creation happen? Value creation will happen का मतलब क्या है? Value creation का मतलब है to make this world a better place to live today than what it was yesterday for everyone. And how will that happen? That will happen and somebody will have to take the responsibility. So the UNGA has taken the responsibility and they have brought out the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We have gone through all those 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and we understand and agree, I am sure you do, that if these 17 Sustainable Development Goals are implemented by all the countries of the world, this world will definitely become a better place to live today than what it was yesterday for everyone and for all times to come. Now, उतना ही sufficient नहीं है. So the respective governments also have to take responsibility. So the governments have taken the responsibility. They have brought out the 9 principles of responsible business conduct. Now, merely bringing out the 9 responsible business conduct is also not enough. So it also needs to be measured. कि भाई कंपनियों को बता दिया कि आपको ये करना है, वो कंपनियां कर रही हैं कि नहीं कर रही हैं, ये भी तो मालूम करना जरूरी है. तो उसका अगला स्टेप क्या है? उसका अगला स्टेप है दी BRSR बिजनेस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सस्टेनेबिलिटी reporting framework, which has been brought out by the SEBI in this country. Incidentally, as it stands today, it is only applicable to 1000 listed companies, the top 1000 listed companies. Going forward, it will percolate down to the other companies also. तो अब मैं आपको ये शेयर करना चाहूँगा आप सभी के साथ में कि ये BRSR जो रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क है ये क्या है और ये कैसे कनेक्टेड है with the entire ecosystem of the SDGs and the 9 principles of responsible business conduct. And at this juncture, friends, I would also like to tell you that BRSR framework is my recommendation to every one of you. Please go through this framework. It might take you half a day when you go through the entire framework. But what you would realize that BRSR framework is not an obligation, is not a liability for the companies, because most companies, unfortunately or incidentally, would take this framework as an obligation, as a liability, as a cost, as a compliance. But अगर आप उसके जो फैक्टर्स हैं, अगर आप उसको स्टडी करेंगे जो रिपोर्टिंग में इंफॉर्मेशन देनी होती है, तो आपके ध्यान में आएगा कि ये दिस इज द रोड मैप which the SEBI has given in the hands of the corporates. If they follow that roadmap, the financial performance, the operating performance of those corporates will improve automatically, provided they do it not as an obligation, not as perfunctorily. इसलिए नहीं क्योंकि करना है, बल्कि इसलिए क्योंकि इसकी वजह से उनके बिजनेस को और ज़्यादा वैल्यू मिलेगी और ज़्यादा बिजनेस वैल्यू क्रिएट करेंगे, राइट. So what this framework is, it has got section A, section B, and it has got section C. The section A calls of general disclosures about the company, and the section B talks about the management and the process disclosures, and it is the section C which is important, and this section C gives the principle wise performance disclosure. So when I say principle wise performance disclosure, इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब है 9 principle of responsible business conduct that we have discussed. तो जो section C है, the section C is completely divided into 9 chapters, and each chapter is linked with one principle of the 9 principles of responsible business conduct. अब उसमें भी क्या है, उसमें जो इन्फॉर्मेशन दी गई है वो 2 तरीके से दी गई है. वन इज रेफर्ड एज इसेंशियल. इसेंशियल का मतलब ये है कि ये इन्फॉर्मेशन द कॉर्पोरेट, द कंपनी टू विच द BRSR इज एप्लीकेबल, दैट कंपनी हैज टू गिव दिस इन्फॉर्मेशन डेफिनेटली, मैंडेटरीली. And then there is a set of information which is required as per the leadership. Now this is something, the choice is given to the corporate. In case if the corporate wishes to give this information, they can do so. In case if they do not want, they do not have to. But at the same time, as I said, and it's my recommendation to every one of you, to get a very good handle on this, please go through the BRSR, and you would realize even the voluntary leadership information also which is asked is again something very interesting and useful for the organization. Right. So this is all, friends, that I had to share with you. It is 6:59. We still have 1 minute. Otherwise also we can take some more time, and I can throw this open to every one of you. So अगर आपको अभी और कुछ सवाल है तो मैं वो आपके सवालों को ले सकता हूँ. Thank you.